Yes, I want to talk about this extraordinary clip because I don't know if any viewers watched the debate that ITV had with Julie Etchingham chairing it yesterday. And Julie was going through all of these questions at sort of breakneck speed. You know, we need to talk about this topic, that topic. It wasn't a recent live stream where we allow people to actually have opinions and form them. It was wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It was absurd. But anyway, one thing that stuck out to me, and it caused lots of memes on the internet and I'm a big meme fan, but it caused lots of memes and I thought it was hilarious. But this is what Sir Keir Starmer had to say on healthcare yesterday. And I just want to sort of dissect it for a moment because I did find it truly extraordinary.
A quick point of information to both of you. If you had loved ones on a long waiting list for surgery, would you, if you felt that that was the only way forward, use private healthcare? Rishi Sunak?
Yes.
Keir Starmer?
No.
Absolutely no, if your loved one was on a waiting list for surgery?
No.
Thank you very much.
I don't use private health. Okay. I use the NHS. That's where my wife works, in one of the big hospitals. As I say, it runs through my DNA.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
He can't even talk. Like, that's the thing. I watched that debate yesterday. He can't even talk. He's not a leader. He doesn't have any charisma. But yeah, sorry.
No, he failed. He definitely lost that debate. And, you know, the polls suggest that actually Rishi Sunak wiped the floor with him. But actually, you know, I was really struck by this because it goes to the very heart of a point that Douglas Murray made in the Telegraph today, where he said, Britain will soon discover to its horror that there is no such thing as a moderate left. He says this election could unleash a Labour government far more dangerous and extreme than many seem to realise. Now, the reason I mentioned that Douglas Murray article in the context of this Sir Keir Starmer healthcare question is because I think this unmasks, it unveils the very pernicious ideology and the hardened ideology that's behind everything that Sir Keir Starmer is driven by. And it's an ideology that says that even if my family are on death's door, even if, you know, my mother needs a hip operation, even if my wife needs, I don't know, some form of private healthcare that we can't get on the NHS, I will refuse to ever countenance using private healthcare because I am so wedded to leftist Marxist ideology that I will refuse anything to do with the private sector. And you know, let's not forget that he's attacking private schools. He wants to shut down school choice, and he's doing it in a very covert, backhanded way, but he's doing it nonetheless. And I think that this is all part of a leftist agenda to actually enlarge the state, to reduce the size of the people, enlarge the state, enlarge the power of the government, and to actually make the citizen even smaller. And I find that deeply troubling, deeply scary. And I think it says a lot about the man that he wouldn't countenance actually going through private healthcare if his family and he were at death's door. It says a lot about a man, doesn't it, Eunice?
So, can I just say something quickly? I don't believe a word he's saying. I think he's just virtue signaling. I really don't believe him because, first of all, he's a multimillionaire and he tries to pander to this Marxist left-wing ideology. But I just don't believe him. I just feel like when I watch him and I analyze people a lot and I analyze their body language, I just felt like every time he answered the question, he had to think about the question and he was trying to be diplomatic and he was like almost thinking like, what do the Labour supporter wants to hear? Because when someone's truthful, the word comes out naturally, you know? And I just think he says things just to virtue signal. And I just think he's just a career politician. And I think he's a dying breed because people see through these kind of people. And that's why Nigel Farage is an attractive alternative because no matter what you think of Nigel Farage, and I personally love him, he's charismatic and you can tell he says what he means. And he means what he says. I don't get the same feeling from Keir Starmer. And neither do I from Rishi Sunak. And that's why these two characters are so unpopular. Because they belong to the old breed of, you know, neoliberal 90s, like all through the teleprompter. And that's one of the reasons people are actually attracted to Trump. Because Trump is also, he says what he means and he means what he says and he's charismatic. Whereas these people, every time you ask them a question, they have to think a few seconds and you can just tell they're lying. I guarantee you, if he had a cancer and if he had to wait 2 years to get treatment, he will go to a private clinic. I guarantee you.
Alex Keith on Facebook says, imagine the outrage if he said he would use private healthcare. Now, of course, Rishi Sunak did say he would use private healthcare. And I think it doesn't take Sir Einstein to work out that actually Rishi Sunak does have access to private healthcare. But many people do. The NHS model is on its knees, right? Many people are taking up private healthcare if they don't already have it. Is there anything so inherently wrong with saying that you would treat your family in private healthcare? Is it not reducing the burden on the NHS?
Of course, there's nothing wrong with saying that. You know, one of Reform's key policies is to say if one of your loved ones is suffering too long on the wait list and we can't get it down, we'll give you vouchers for private healthcare. It's utilising the system we've built in this great country to its advantage, not its disadvantage. Now, should it be the best option? No, it should be something that people use if they can afford to pay for it. I don't think it's a substitute for the NHS. But the problem we have, and this is what neither of Rishi Sunak nor Keir Starmer brought up last night, is that the NHS is broken deeply in the system, the administration of it. So rather than them going, well, would you use it if someone was dying? Obviously the human answer, and if you're not a robot like Keir Starmer, the human answer would be, of course, if my child or wife was dying or a family member was dying and I could pay for private healthcare, I would do it, right? Any human being can argue that that is a very easy answer. You're only appeasing zealots, these socialist zealots, on the other hand. But frankly, these are very sensible policies Reform have put forward, but the NHS needs to be completely uphealed and started again because it is broken beyond repair. When we're paying diversity and inclusion managers 100k a year to sit there and cherry pick whether you can work as a doctor because you're not black enough or gay enough or whatever or trans enough, then we've got a problem.
Yeah, MJS on YouTube says it's like Diane Abbott being so left-wing she sent her kids to private school, which is another good point.
Exactly.
And BTC says, don't forget Keir Starmer had a scholarship at a private school, and like most private schools, they offer this due to their charitable status. So the left are just hypocrites, Eunice, aren't they?
Yeah, they are absolute hypocrites. And can I just say something about the NHS? The NHS, as Alex said, is broken. You have to wait weeks before you get a normal appointment. I know people personally that have been waiting years to get surgery, years. And every time their surgery day comes up, the NHS cancels. And sorry, we can't do it today. They have to wait another 6 months, and then again and then again and again. And to the point, I actually have some of my friends. They're like, we're not going to wait for this, and it might be too expensive. So it might be actually cheaper for us to travel to Turkey or to Iran and to pay the doctors there to do it for us, you know? But of course, look, NHS was good once upon a time. I personally had 2 different surgeries under the NHS. And this was, way back like 10 years ago, okay? So we need the NHS, and it's a great idea because, healthcare can't be a privilege or a luxury. Everyone should have access to healthcare. However, we have to admit that private healthcare is better. And if you can afford it, and if you can see your doctor within an hour of calling him, and if you can afford it and you can do it and you need a surgery, whatever, of course you're going to go to private healthcare, And the NHS, as I said, is broken down. We need a lot more funding. And as you said, there is this whole inclusion. We need doctors, we need nurses, we need to pay them higher. And the whole thing just looks like to me is collapsing. The NHS is collapsing. It's not like what it used to be, so it doesn't serve the purpose. It doesn't serve the purpose anymore. So of course we need private healthcare.
Michelle on YouTube says it's the National Health Service, not the International Health Service. We need to stop people coming to this country just to use the NHS, for example. Because you can walk in, no questions asked, right? If you get into Britain, you could walk into the NHS and you don't have to, obviously there's no card machine in the NHS, but I think there bloody well should be, to be honest.
Well, people fly over here from foreign countries when they're deeply pregnant, like about to drop, so they can have their child on the NHS and have that bed there for them and the best service in the world for free. That still happens today. We don't talk about it much anymore, but it still happens today.
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.